To learn more about Radiant and what you can do with the application, the best place to start is the documentation site. On the documentation site, you'll see a description of what Radiant is and how it works, some news about things that have changed more recently, the install page that you've probably seen, and then for the different menus within Radiant, each of those have their own separate set of help pages. So for example, the data menu has a page on creating visualizations. Similarly, the basics menu has information about the probability calculator, testing single proportions, comparing proportions, crosstabs, and so on. The model drop-down has information on linear regression, naive Bayes, evaluating classification, collaborative filtering, and so on. And then the multivariate menu is represented with content on factor analysis, cluster analysis, conjoint analysis, and so on. There's also additional information about creating reports and programming using Radiant, and a set of tutorials, one of which you're looking at right now. Now, the same content is basically also accessible within Radiant. So I started Radiant from RStudio, and basically on each of the pages within Radiant, you'll see this little question mark icon here on the bottom left. So if we click on that, a pop-up will appear that will show us information about that particular tab we're on, which in this case is the Manage tab, where we'll load and save data, and it'll give us additional information about what to do here. Similarly, on the other tabs, for example, the View tab, if we want to know more information about how to filter the data, sort the data, and so on, we click on the little question mark icon, and we get additional information about how to do that. Now, suppose we want to do a search across all the different help files available. Easiest way to do that is to click on the question mark icon in the nav bar, and then click on Help. And so here I've got a bunch of different checkboxes for all the different pages with help and documentation available. And so what we could do is say, well, I want to know something about doing transformations, and I believe it's somewhere within the data menu, but I'm not exactly sure where. So let's click on this check mark right here, which will select all the pages that are relevant or that address issues in the data menu. And now we can just use our browser's search, for example, to look at how to do a log transformation, natural log. We'll type in ln, and it takes us directly to a section where there's discussion about how to apply a log transformation to our data. Okay. Now finally, Radiant is an open source tool, so all the source code for the application is available on GitHub. And Radiant is actually made up of a bunch of different modules. So there's Radiant Data, Radiant Model, linked to the menus in the Radiant application. So for example, if we click on Radiant Data, we'll see that there's a link here to a website specifically about Radiant Data. And that has references about the different functions that are used within Radiant. You don't need this technically if you want to just use the Radiant web interface. But if you want to do programming with Radiant, this is going to be very, very useful. Okay. And it also has links to the other packages within the Radiant span. So you can click on those and read more about Radiant Model, so how to do modeling in Radiant, where there's a reference again to the different functions that are used, and so on. Okay. I'll provide additional links below the YouTube video so you can check this out for yourself.